Think about what happens when a conversation gets interrupted. Someone is telling you something important, a set of directions, a sequence of steps, and you lose them for a moment. A door slams, the call breaks up, someone walks past talking. You catch most of it, but a piece in the middle goes missing. When they finish, you don't say, "Could you repeat everything from the beginning?" You say, "Sorry, I lost you for a second. What was the part after you mentioned the second left turn?" You ask for exactly what you missed, not more, not less, just the gap. This is the instinct behind how TCP repairs a broken stream. Detection told you there was a gap and told you exactly where it was. Repair is the question of what to do next, and the answer is more carefully engineered than it might seem, because the obvious approach turns out to be expensive in ways that matter enormously at scale. Start with the simplest version of the problem. A sender has transmitted 1,000 packets. Packet 400 never arrived. The receiver is holding packets 401 through whatever has arrived since, all waiting, buffered, unable to move forward until the gap at 400 is filled. The sender has detected the loss, either through 3 duplicate acknowledgements or a timeout. What does it do? The naive answer is, go back to packet 400 and resend everything from there. Go back N, this is called. Resend 400, 401, 402, continuing until the receiver has confirmed that it's all been received. This works. It fills the gap. But it throws away all the work done after packet 400, everything the receiver has been holding, all those buffered packets, successfully delivered, correctly sequenced, gets resent over the wire, occupying bandwidth that could have carried new data, costing time that the application is sitting idle, waiting through. The further along in the stream the loss happened, the more wasted retransmission this produces. What you'd really want is to only resend what's actually missing. And this is where selective acknowledgment enters. Selective acknowledgment, SAC, is an extension to TCP that gives the receiver a richer vocabulary for describing its state. Instead of only reporting the next expected byte position, a receiver using SAC can also report ranges of data it has received that sit beyond the gap. It can tell the sender, "I'm still waiting for bytes 800 through 1200, but I do have 1200 through 1600 and also 1800 through 2200. The sender now has a precise map of what arrived and what didn't. It can target its retransmission exactly, send only the missing ranges, skip everything the receiver already has. This changes the economics of repair. Without SAC, a sender retransmitting after a loss has to be conservative. It doesn't know how much buffered data the receiver has beyond the gap, so retransmitting too much is safer than too little. With SAC, the sender knows exactly what to send, one or a few targeted retransmissions instead of a cascade of redundant ones. Less bandwidth wasted, faster recovery. But even with perfect selective acknowledgement, repair has an unavoidable cost, and it comes from a constraint that no amount of clever engineering can remove: the speed of light. When a gap is detected, the sender has to retransmit the missing data. That retransmission travels across the network to the receiver. The receiver processes it, fills the gap, and sends back an acknowledgement. That acknowledgement travels back to the sender. Only then does the sender know the repair succeeded. The minimum time this round trip takes is determined by the physical distance between sender and receiver, and the speed at which signals travel through the medium connecting them. This is called round trip time, and it sets a hard floor on repair latency. A connection between 2 machines in the same city might have a round trip time of a few milliseconds. A connection between London and Sydney might have a round trip time of 250 milliseconds or more. In both cases, the moment loss is detected, the stream stalls, the receiver is holding buffered data it can't deliver, the application is waiting, and nothing moves forward until the retransmission makes the full round trip. For a London-Sydney connection, that's a quarter of a second of enforced stillness, minimum, every time a single packet is lost. That enforced stillness is not just a delay, it compounds. During the stall, the sender has typically also reduced how aggressively it's transmitting. Loss is a signal that the network is congested, and TCP interprets it that way, pulling back its sending rate to avoid making congestion worse. So repair involves not just filling the gap, but also recovering the sending rate afterward. The stream doesn't just pause, It pauses and then restarts cautiously. The full cost of a single lost packet is the retransmission delay plus the time to rebuild momentum. This is why loss, even occasional loss, has effects that feel disproportionate. One missing packet out of 1,000 doesn't cause 1,000th of a problem. It causes a stall, a retransmission, a rate reduction, and a slow climb back. The repair cycle is real work, and it takes real time. Return to the interrupted conversation. You asked for the piece you missed. The person repeated it. That repetition took time. Time you weren't getting new information. Time the conversation was paused. Time you had to hold the rest of what you heard without being able to make full sense of it. And even after you got the missing piece, you had to spend a moment reintegrating it before the conversation felt normal again. The mechanics of repair in TPP are not so different. The gap gets filled, but filling it costs something, and the cost is paid in time, in throughput, and in the patience of whatever application is waiting on the other end. What you can see now is that repair is not a simple undo, it's a cycle. Detection triggers retransmission. Retransmission is constrained by distance. The receiver confirms receipt, and the stream cautiously resumes. Every part of that cycle was designed to handle a network that never announces its own failures, that can drop a packet without warning and without apology. TCP can't prevent loss. It can detect it, target exactly what was lost, and recover at the speed physics allows, and not a moment faster. That's the promise repair makes. It's a strong promise, but it's not a free one.